Hey, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to put on our detective hats. We're going to take a real-world argument, break it all the way down, and find that one single weak spot, that little crack in the logic. Our investigation starts right now.
So, let me ask you, how do you really win an argument? Is it just about being the loudest person in the room, the most confident? Well, the truth is, the most effective way isn't about overpowering someone. It's about outthinking them.
That's it, exactly. Every single argument, no matter how convincing it might sound on the surface, has a structure. And if you know how to look closely, you can almost always find a weak spot, a little crack in its foundation. Today, we're going to learn how to spot it.
To do that, we need a case to solve, and I've got the perfect one for us. This is a real logical puzzle, and it's based on an argument that some legislators actually made. It's the perfect challenge for our new detective skills.
Okay, here's the argument itself. So on one side, you've got modern nude photography, which some are calling obscene. And on the other, you have Michelangelo's classic art, which, everyone agrees is not obscene. The argument tries to use one to prove a point about the other. Seems pretty logical, right? Well, let's see.
Now, to find that weak spot, we can't just look at the argument as a whole. We need to crack its code. And to do that, we have to break it down into its most basic parts. Every argument has a kind of logical skeleton holding it together.
And here's that skeleton. When you boil it all down, it's pretty simple. Step one, the starting point, or what we call the premise. Michelangelo's art is perfectly okay. Then, the argument makes a huge leap to the conclusion. Therefore, modern nude photos must be okay too. But wait a minute, how exactly do we get from that premise to that conclusion? What's connecting them?
At its heart, this argument is just a comparison. It's basically saying, hey, if you accept this one thing, you have to accept this other thing too. So the big question for us detectives is this. Are these two things really similar enough for that comparison to actually work? Are we comparing apples to apples, or is it more like apples and oranges?
You see, that invisible link that connects the premise to the conclusion, it has a name. It's called a hidden assumption. It's an unspoken idea that the person making the argument just takes for granted, hoping you will too. And here's the secret. It is almost always the most vulnerable part of the whole argument.
So what is this argument assuming to be true? What do we have to believe for the logic of Michelangelo is okay, so these photos must be okay, to actually hold up? Well, the hidden assumption is that these two things, classic sculptures and modern photos, are the same in all the important ways. And that assumption is the weak link we've been looking for. Okay, now for the fun part. We've got 5 suspects. These are 5 different statements, and one of them is going to expose the fatal flaw in this argument. Let's put each one under the microscope and see which one breaks this case wide open. Our first suspect, A. This one suggests there's a very specific reason Michelangelo's art gets a pass. It has high artistic value. Could that be the key difference that the original argument is just ignoring? Let's keep that in mind. All right, suspect B brings up museum displays. I mean, okay, maybe they shared a space once, but does that really tell us anything about whether one is obscene and the other isn't? This feels like a total distraction. Next up, suspect C, which talks about funding. Again, who paid for the art is an interesting fact, maybe, but it has absolutely no bearing on whether it's considered obscene. This feels like another red herring designed to throw us off the scent. Now, suspect D points out a difference of opinion. But hold on. If you remember, the original argument already said the legislators are mistaken. So this statement doesn't weaken the argument. It actually kind of agrees with it. Tricky. And our final suspect, E. This one talks about the skill of the artists. Now, this feels close, right? It points to a difference. But the problem is, it's really broad. It's talking about photographers in general, not specifically about the nude photos that are at the center of this whole debate. It's not quite a direct hit. All right, we've seen all the suspects. It is time for the big reveal. Let's line them all up one last time and figure out which one of these delivers the knockout blow to that hidden assumption we found. Here's our final evidence board. Let's break it down. Just as we thought, B and C are totally irrelevant. Museum placement, funding, we can throw those out. Suspect D, well, that just restates the argument's opinion, so that's not the flaw. And E was close, but it was just too general. That leaves only one suspect standing, A. It directly attacks the hidden assumption by giving a specific, totally relevant reason why these two things are different. And the answer is A. This is the one. This is what shatters the argument's entire foundation.
It points out a critical difference. Michelangelo's work is considered non-obscene because of its artistic value. The argument just conveniently ignores that, assuming both types of art should be judged by the exact same standard.
And this right here perfectly illustrates why A is the correct choice. It refutes that hidden assumption head-on. By bringing up the whole idea of artistic value, it proves that the comparison between Michelangelo and modern photography was never an apples-to-apples comparison to begin with. So we've solved the puzzle. Case closed. But what's the big takeaway for you? This isn't just some abstract exercise. You can use these exact same detective skills in your everyday life, whether you're reading the news or just chatting with friends. Here is your toolkit. It's just 3 simple steps. First, always find the core logic. What's the starting point and where does it end up? Second, hunt for that hidden assumption, that invisible bridge connecting the two. And third, always challenge the comparison. Ask yourself, hey, wait a minute, are these things really the same? This is your key to not being fooled by faulty logic.
And that brings us to the final thought. Now that you have this toolkit, what common arguments that you hear every day, in ads, on social media, in the news, can you suddenly see right through? The world is full of arguments, and now you've got the tools to be a detective.